About electric vehicles and how they are going down the tubes. That starts next. I'm happy to welcome back the great Paul Bryan to the program. He's an Emmy Award-winning automotive expert and the editor-at-large for Car Coach Reports. Paul, how's it going?
It's going well.
I wanted to bring you on because I've been fascinated by this change, and I know you watch everything in the auto industry so closely. This change in sort of messaging to the public about what's going on with electric vehicles. We've been told forever that every company is going to be switching over to all electric, by whatever it is, 2030. But we're starting to see a lot of messages come out from these companies. Maybe we're not going to go that far. I want to start with this one from Mercedes-Benz. And one word really struck me in this. They said that they were going to say, they initially said that 2030 they were only going to sell electric vehicles. They are now saying that it might be in 2030, instead of 100%, only 50% electric vehicles, a massive cut. And they say this, it's not going to be 100% in 2030. Here's the key word, obviously. Like, they're no longer even trying to give you the optimism that it's possible at this point. What is going on?
What's going on is a healthy dose of basic economics. They're finding out that the panacea that they thought was going to be the electric car and the adopters who were going to be buying them have not only leveled off, but they have actually taken a drop down. And it's all of a sudden they're saying, hey guys, we are still selling a small percentage of what we're doing. And as much as we would like to have, this is Mercedes-Benz. I mean, my gosh, to have all of their production in the wink of an eye in terms of automotive years. 6 years is nothing in the car business. And for them to say, you know what? We better have a backstop plan because we're just not getting the action that we're seeing and the adoption. Why? For a vast array of numbers, infrastructure, capacity, the amount of early adopters seems to have leveled off. There were a lot of people who said, gee, I got to have that. It's the latest thing. It's the newest thing. And then they get the reality of living with it. And then they find out that, charging, unless you're charging at home, which excludes many condos, many apartment buildings, maybe even public parking spaces that don't allow charging, is still a big, big challenge, irrespective of what the administration says.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how widespread this is. And I've known people who have bought, Teslas and stuff, and were excited about them and liked them for a little while, and then realized, there's this problem with it and this issue, and I'm having this problem with it. A lot of them are like, can't wait to get back into a gas-powered car. And it seems like that's not just anecdotal. Tesla is saying the company is bracing for significantly lower sales growth in 2024. Of course, Rivian and Lucid have had all sorts of problems. I wrote down this. The stock prices of these electric vehicle startups are just catastrophes, Paul. Lucid is down 95%, Rivian is down 94%, Nikola is down 99%, and I guess the highlight for the electric vehicles is Polestar, only down 91%. This is sort of a catastrophe.
99%. But it's not 99%.
Much better, Paul.
Yes, I mean, we have to look at the bright side of things. They're in a bad economic position on these vehicles. A lot of people are hanging on by their fingernails trying to say, can we get a cash raise? Can we still save this? I saw a fellow with a Lucid Sunday at a charging station, which my weekend run just simply up to Road America to the racetrack, 150 miles, and I had a Kia EV9. Well, the range on that is about 225, 230, and practically. And so I was recharging, and you seem to want to watch the range gauge more carefully than you want to watch the speedometer or anything else that's going on. I said, hey, how's it going? Obviously, you've spent a boatload of money on this car. And he said, well, it's a good looking car. And I said, yeah, it really is a handsome car, but it's nothing that a V6 turbo wouldn't cure. He said, I got to tell you, I have thought of that many, many times. It just gets to be a hassle. And from an infrastructure standpoint, just finding level 3 chargers is really, really tough. And on top of that, you can't get a roller dog, and do that. They don't have those.
It really does seem just a difficult.
That was a joke, Stu.
Yeah,
not much of one.
Let me move over to, I think, maybe the worst sign of all of this in a way is Apple. Apple has been kind of behind the scenes, been pitching this eventual iCar of sorts, where they're going to come up with their own electric vehicle system, and they've been working on it for a really long time. And
16.
Yeah. And I think what's fascinating about them is they have a streaming, I was just talking to a friend about this, they have a streaming video business where they churn out 5 shows a year that are all massively expensive. And I don't know, it just seems like it's a prestige business. It's like, hey, they get to talk about it in their executive parties because, comparing it to the iPhone, right? It's nothing. They have money. They can just blow money as much as they want on streaming programming, and it doesn't even matter. They have this situation going on with the car, which they could continue to throw money at and not worry about, given the size of their multi-trillion-dollar company. And even they are looking at this and saying, you know what? Maybe this isn't worth it. Why is this all happening?
Well, I think they discovered that building a car is a heck of a lot more difficult than building a phone. And they make a darn nice phone. I've got it myself, and I use them all the time. And I use an iPad, and I'm on an iMac. But when you start working on something as complex as an automobile or a truck, it's a whole different bag of worms. And they thought that they might pick off a couple of people. They hired an engineer from Ford Motor Company to head the engineering part of it. And it's just remarkably different. The planning stages on cars, even the stuff that we are seeing today as brand new cars, that's so 7-8 years ago in terms of the automobile business. It's just more difficult. And I think somebody finally made the decision to say, look, why don't we stick to our core business and do this? And on top of that, everybody was saying, look, the sales numbers that we're seeing don't justify what's going on. And it's not on an uphill climb. The manufacturers are in a tough spot. They have a choice of either getting fined by the government for not producing electric vehicles, or they get to pay to a company like Tesla for carbon credits. And they're kind of damned if they do and damned if they don't, and they're going to pay one way or the other. And we've seen most recently, I think the best example might be the F-150 Lightning, where they were all ganged up for 3 shifts, and boy, we're going to go, and we've got so many reservations. They're down to 1 shift on the F-150 Lightning. And it's a darn nice truck, but people just aren't buying them. Yeah. You can drive by car stores in the Dallas area, and you'll see tons of Mach-E Fords, and the dealers that I talk to, and the sales numbers bear it out. They're selling regular vehicles, gas. ICE vehicles, if you're internal combustion. And sitting over here on the side is a big supply of Mach-E's. We had thousands of dealers begging the administration to ease up on these regulations that are being forced upon them, even to the point where there were Buick dealers, a significant number of Buick dealers, who said, look, we'll give up our franchise. There's no sense in us keeping the doors open if this is all you're going to give us to sell. It's market driven. It's not hard to figure out, but the government, of course, always finds a way to mess it up.
Yeah, you said it, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, that could be like the slogan for Bidenomics. That's kind of like, I think you should use that in the campaign, Paul. You're writing copy for him as we go. Paul Bryan, Paul, thanks so much. Emmy-winning, of course, automotive expert, editor-at-large of Car Coach Reports. Dude knows everything about cars, and I always go to him whenever I can because, Paul, you just...
How's your car doing, by the way? Are you still enjoying?
I am very much enjoying my car. Yes, my car it is not electric, and it gets very low gas mileage, and I absolutely love it.
I'll ask you one quick question.
Yes.
Is the interior leather?
It is, and it's nice. I very much like it.
How do you know it's leather?
I don't know. They told me on the sheet.
And thereby, we're going to set up our next visit.
Ah, interesting. All right. We've got some intrigue, a little cliffhanger from Paul Bryan. Paul, thanks so much for coming on the program, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay. Good to be with you again.
Have you ever thought, why in the world is my wireless bill so darn high? What are we paying all this money for? Speed, coverage, data, access to 5G, unlimited talk and text, mobile hotspots? We are partnering with Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers all of these features for as low as $15 per month. They're reimagining the wireless shopping experience and made it easy and online. No stores, no salespeople, just huge direct-to-you savings. Why should you pay more when you have access to premium wireless? Mint Mobile runs on the nation's largest 5G network. Whether you use your phone to watch YouTube, listen to podcasts, or play games, you get the same speed and performance as the big guys while connecting to Mint's network. How hard is it to switch your service? Big Wireless wants you to think it's hard, but switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to digital eSIM cards, which most phones now have, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. And if your phone doesn't have an eSIM, Mint will ship you a new SIM card for free. Just go to trymintmobile.com/LaurenFix, also linked in the description down below, to get premium wireless for $15 a month.